Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all. Best fictional time travel device.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Best fictional time travel device.
Okay, see, I think by that last one, you might be putting your thumb on the scale.
I don't think anybody's going to hear it. I don't know if anybody's going to hear it.
That's a good point. Shall we get started?
Yeah.
What's
I
up, Hal?
I
don't know.
We had started.
You know what? Let's get in our time machine and go back
And
to
see.
the very beginning of this episode.
That's
What is
what
up?
hold on. You have access to a time machine. You want to go back 90 seconds?
Yeah. Look, there are some time machines that I have looked at in this deep dive of time machines that do only take you back a very brief amount of time.
You know, you are stepping over dollars to pick up pennies, my friend. I'm just going to point that out.
Welcome to We Got This with Mark and Hal. I'm Mark.
Oh yeah, I'm Hal.
You were taking a sip, so
Nope.
I was going
to do the other thing, and I didn't want to. I changed my mind. We're changing it up. It
You know
didn't
what?
feel authentic.
Let's get back in our time machine. What is up, people of the world? And welcome to We Got This with Mark and Hal. You know,
Sorry,
let me get back in this time
I'm still
machine
eating
just
lettuce. The
one
lettuce
more
traveled
time.
back with me. It
Oh,
reformed
no.
in my mouth.
All right, let's try one more time. Let's get back in hold on, let me flip
Okay.
these switches here. And, all right, here we go. Welcome to We Got This with Mark and Hal.
The show that touches the debates that nobody else settled. No, wait, we've got to go back.
What? It's your kids, Hal. There's got to
Forget
be
it.
something done about your kids.
What do we become assholes? All right. You said you did deep research on this. I'm going off of the top of my mind. Let me just say a few. We're not going to,
Okay,
we'll discuss these. Okay.
sure. I didn't do
One is-
deep research on this.
Yeah. One is a phone booth with the skeleton of an umbrella on top of it.
Yes. That is, by the way, the phone booth from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and Bill and Ted's, what was it called? Final Act? I don't remember.
Bill
what
and Ted
the third
Face
was.
the Music.
Face the Music.
Then you have the TARDIS, which is
I do
a
have the TARDIS.
police call box, I think, or
Yes.
just a call box. Yeah.
Mhm.
Then you have whatever that weird chamber is from the Time Machine from
The
H.G.
Time
Wells.
Sled.
Yeah, the Time
H.G.
Sled.
Wells. Yeah, the Time
Yeah,
Sled.
yeah. Okay.
Maybe the prettiest out of all of them.
Sure. We have the DeLorean, obviously.
Sure. A
We've
very
got
good one.
the Time Turner from the world of Harry Potter.
We do have the Time Turner from the world of Harry Potter.
We have taking your Federation starship and slingshotting yourself around the sun to generate enough speed to go back in time.
Sorry? What was this
Oh,
deep nerd cut that you just,
clearly
that
you
just
don't, in Star
sliced
Trek.
across my arm?
No, listen, in Star Trek 4,
Mm-hmm.
The Voyage Home,
Sure.
they determine they have to go back in time because this weird space poop with a marble sticking out of it is making humpback whale calls. There haven't been humpback whales for centuries.
Right.
They got to go back.
I remember
the way
this
they do
particular episode of We Got This with Mark and Hal.
This is well, let's go back in time. We'll see it together.
Okay, let's go back in time and we will go back and go back to the moment that we did that particular episode where we talked about this movie.
Let's grab Doc because he was there.
That's true. Doc was there.
So the idea is Spock is like, well, there's a theoretical practice that if you slingshot yourself around the sun at a
Mhm.
certain angle, you generate enough speed to travel back in time. So that is the mechanic by which they travel back.
Gotcha. There is, if we're talking about doing slingshot moves around celestial bodies, we also have to talk about Superman flying so fast that he makes the world spin backwards
Yes.
and time goes in reverse so that he can save Lois Lane's life.
I mean, a device could be a machine. A device could be a plot device in a movie that they use to turn back time.
Right. Well, it's funny you mention that because I do have a way to divide this up into a few different categories. The main category being actual time machines. But there are also, this one's good. I'm going to have to turn the chat off for this one. Ken's going to be chiming in a lot here.
Well, no, Ken brings in another one. This is from
Yeah. Hold on a
Avengers
second.
Endgame.
I think what we ought to do is break them into different categories because time machines, like physical objects that take you back or forward in time, are only one version of this. There are all different kinds of versions of time travel. And I think How about before we go to the break, we'll talk about many of the non-machine versions. And then after the break, we'll really dive into the machine-based time travel methods.
Okay, just to be clear, when you say machine-based, do you mean like
an object that you do something to an object that is a time machine? If you could call a thing a time machine within the story.
So the chamber from Quantum Leap would count as a machine because you go in, they press the buttons and they send you back in time.
See, I wouldn't necessarily call that a time machine. I would look at Quantum Leap almost as psychic time travel.
No, I mean?
He's not physically going back in time.
No, he is.
His mind is going back in time in the body of the other person.
Sort of.
Outlander style.
They're like projecting the other person.
Right.
He's not taking over somebody's mind. He's his own body, but to everyone else, he looks like whoever he's leapt into. Gotcha. Meanwhile, whoever he's leapt into is in the chamber and looks like him.
Right. So that's right. I remember there were a few episodes where we got to see that side of things because Sam would get in trouble every once in a while.
They did it, I think, pretty famously. I think in the one of the Lee Harvey Oswald episodes. I think there was a two-parter, but the Lee Harvey Oswald storyline, I think you go back and you do see him in the chamber there. I think that's one of them. All right. So, but that would be a machine.
That would be,
yes.
Yeah, I guess it would be a machine. Ones that are not a machine based one would be like a time loop. Like Groundhog Day is a time travel movie. That particular version of time travel, I would argue, is one of the worst because it takes you back to the same day over and over again, and you have absolutely no control over when the loop is going to end. It's probably going to be one of the time machines with buttons, I would assume.
Right. Yeah.
A thing that we can control. In fact, I have also written down, and we can get to this. You know what? We might as well start with this, as we often do, criteria to think about. So I'm going to give you a few criteria I'd love to think about in this, and you can add or subtract or move up in importance as necessary. Funny that you mention Quantum Leap, because one of the more negative, I guess, considerations to take into account on this, along with limitations that a certain method of time travel would have, is complicatedness. If I have to think about how the machine works too much and what all the rules are surrounding it, I feel like I'm going to lose the story. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Here's the problem. This is the inherent problem of all time travel, right? Is why time travel is super theoretical. And as far as science is concerned right now, you can't travel faster than the speed of light. That's what it required to manipulate time.
Right.
Therefore, it's not possible.
My dad would disagree.
Once you get into all of the paradoxical pieces of it, you get into, that's like the main thing. And that's the main problem with a time travel movie is everything you do affects everything else. Right. And every movie tackles that in a different way. You know, Back to the Future is very much about not changing, like trying to just change the thing that's supposed to happen the way it is. But he's already started a chain reaction of events. That's why you have the Lone Pine Mall, because he knocks over one of the pines.
Right.
And a few other, there are other changes outside of what happens with his immediate family, obviously.
Yeah, look, man, that of all of the time travel movies, Back to the Future is one of the greats, but boy, are there some holes in that plot.
But they all do. There is no time travel movie without plot holes. Even Endgame tries its best to go, well, this is, every time you time travel, you're not going back, you're branching out the timeline. So you're just creating timeline branches. That's all you're doing.
And that is another version of that I wanted to ask you about. We're going to go all over the place on this episode, people of the world. You know how this is going to go. This is another thing that I wanted to talk to you about is in the same way that a loop is a time travel thing in a movie. What do we think about parallel timelines? Something like It's a Wonderful Life. Is that a time travel movie?
No, I don't think A Christmas Carol is time travel either, because
not A Christmas Carol because he can't affect it. I guess that's true. Jimmy Stewart can't affect it either. Yeah.
He just sees how his life would be. Like, here's the alternate timeline. You're just a viewer. You're not a participant.
Fringe did this. And, what was the Star Trek that did this? Look at a parallel.
There's a mirror universe.
Taken a different path. Yeah.
And then the final episode, like there's a lot of that in that generation. A lot of Star Trek deals with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like most of these are going to be machines and stuff. Like the Time Turner's a machine. It's an hourglass. You turn it upside down.
I just wanted to talk about some of these other different ways that time travel happens in movies. In the movie Interstellar, it is a wormhole that they travel through.
Yes. What about the time traveler's wife, where it's like a biological disorder? It's a disorder called chrono impairment that causes him to involuntarily time travel. So he has no control over it. He just travels around. That's another version of it that is not based on a machine that has an operator where someone can control the method of time travel. And I feel like that falls under the limitations to think about is this is a thing that we are not able to control. I would love the version of time travel that we can control. Yes.
Even a TARDIS isn't always accurate.
By and large, but you can't have anything time travel without it getting messed up at some point and be like, we overshot. We want to, and it's broken.
Our antenna's broken.
Fix it. Yeah.
Get some gum.
So I think it's fair to say we want something that's as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
So like the Flash can go back in time or go forward by running fast. That's not always the most accurate.
Right. But you just said that this is not possible. So is there really any accuracy?
But I mean, like in the fictional world, how accurate is the device?
Gotcha.
If you were to pick one of the way I think of it for best is literally the best. If you had a buffet of all these different methods of time travel, which one would you choose knowing that you wanted it to be accurate? You wanted it to not cause you any pain. You know, you want the machine to remain intact. Like the integrity of the machine is important.
Yeah. I do not want to get there and find broken pieces when I get there.
Exactly.
I also hear some of the other criteria that I had written down. Again, limitations and complicatedness being the more negative ones. Functionality and capability being a thing that I think is very important. What can it do? What can't it do? Ease of use, I think, is going to be something that we have to check out. And really, to be honest, coolness.
You want it to be cool, right?
You want it to be cool, man. If you're making a time machine, not to quote what is an inevitable finalist, I figure why not do it with style?
Yeah.
You know?
If you had a completely functional, hyper accurate and safe manner of time travel that was like sitting on a toilet that as it moved made loud fart noises both on takeoff and landing. So wherever you are, you know, you're around people and they just hear what sounds like gastric distress. But you're like, hey, I'm traveling through time. I have to go save the president. But all they hear is like,
Hal, you're telling me that those times that we've shared a hotel room in the past when doing conventions or
I was saving the president.
Shows out of town, you were saving the president.
Oh, you know, it's because I always say it like, hey, I got to go save the president. You're like, oh, he's using code.
Yeah, I thought that just meant I literally just have to go poop. But that was you saying I actually have to go. So at that point, though, it's not the toilet so much as it's you, Hal. The secret is with you the whole time.
No.
Haven't you noticed you've been on it?
Was what I'm saying. You probably thought it was me, but it's just the device. Kohler makes a time machine that only I have access to because I won like a drawing, let's say. And,
well, okay. What do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean? Let's say.
You know, I mean, like, you know, I'm just like, that's what I'm saying is what I mean. That's like something we say in Philadelphia. So, you know, you get on this toilet and it makes these noises that are.
So it's not you that's making those noises. It's the toilet. Okay.
That's right. And the exhaust fan is what powers it.
Oh, okay. Okay. But this, I found that out in a hotel room. Are there more than one of these? Was it in the hotel that they had?
I bring it with me.
Oh, you bring it with you. I see. Like, that's why you get to the airport so early.
Yeah. Well, you can like shrink it and make it bigger. This part of it. It's a very advanced toilet.
Yeah. Sounds like.
Yeah. But that's what that is.
Why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, we will talk about all of the great physical time machines that have taken moviegoers back and forth in time to much complication and dramatic tension and hilarity for the past several decades or the future several decades. How's that sound?
That sounds good. I got to go save the president anyway. We'll be right back.
What?
I'm Jordan Morris.
And I'm Jesse Thorne.
On Jordan Jesse Go, we make pure, delightful nonsense.
We rope in awesome guests
and bring them down to our level.
We get stupid with Judy Greer.
My friend Molly and I call it having the space weirds.
Patton Oswalt.
Could I get a Balrog burger and some Aragorn fries? Thank you.
And Kumail Nanjiani.
I've come back with cat toothbrushes, which is impossible to use.
Come get stupider with us at MaximumFun.org.
Look, your podcast app's already open. Just pull it out. Give Jordan Jesse Go a try.
Being smart is hard. Be dumb instead.
Okay, zebras, orangutans. Oh,
yes, sorry. Hi.
I'm not used to the animals talking. Who are you?
Yes, my name's Carrie Poppy. I co-host a podcast called Ona Ross and Carrie. This is my co-host Ross right here.
Okay.
We investigate spirituality, claims of the paranormal, and we were wondering if we could get on the Ark.
You did come 2 by 2. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Though most of the things I'm letting on the Ark don't talk.
I'm going to be talking all up on this boat. Do you mind both?
I prefer Ark or
Okay,
barge.
I'm not listening, but if you let me on, then I will make my really good podcast on your boat.
Can you
barge.
at least help clean up all the poop?
I guess I don't see why not.
Well, I'll check out the podcast. Where do I find it?
It's on MaximumFun.org.
All right, let's get nitty gritty on some of these great time machines. Here's the ones that I think here's the ones that I think have a shot. The Back to the Future DeLorean.
Sure.
The TARDIS.
Okay.
The Time Turner.
All right.
The Hot Tub Time Machine.
Sure.
Bill and Ted's Phone Booth.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the displacement sphere because it only takes Terminators back to kill people.
It's not really a device. Well, it is a device, but it's like, hey, you want a bunch of lightning in you?
Yeah. And then the Time Stone and Pym particles from the Marvel universe.
Do you not want to count taking your starship and slingshotting around the sun? Because that's a fun one.
It is
Using
fun,
that.
but it doesn't feel like a time machine.
But you're in like a spaceship. And you're going back in time.
Do you want to keep that one on there, Hal?
I think we should. What about the time doors from Loki? Where they can just, use
Okay,
doors.
how about we do this right now?
Yeah. Okay.
Let's pick one Marvel one. There are 3 Marvel ones. We'll pick one Marvel one to go through. This will be a mini episode right here. You've got Pym particles, the Time Stone, and the Time Door from Loki.
I think the Pym particles, because the time stone seems to affect time for everything else. It would have to work with like time and space together to travel you back. Because that's all you're really doing, right? Is like, oh, the apple's eaten, the apple's not eaten. The stone is destroyed. I'm fixing it. I'm turning back time on everything else myself. I'm not really traveling technically through time.
I guess that's true. But aren't all of these you manipulating time or?
Yeah, but that one just feels like, I'm going to make that egg unscrambled. Like,
yeah, it feels like a dial as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to I'm going to get in this cool thing that's going to take me away to another world.
You're limited by how far you can twist your hand in a circle.
Yeah.
Because that's really the extent of how much time you can manipulate.
Yeah. All right. So remind me what we said on the list?
We got the DeLorean. We have 2 different phone booths, the TARDIS and the one from Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
The Time Turner.
Yep.
Is the ship from Flight of the Navigator, doesn't that travel through time as well? Or am I mistaken on that?
I don't know. And that alone makes me think it's not going to win.
Yeah, it's not going to win. It's a fun movie, though.
It is a really fun movie. So of the Marvel ones, we've got the Pym particle and the Time Door. I just like the Pym particle as a fun thing that travels through different movies. The Time Door is cool in Loki, but that whole series is about time travel. So there's lots of little components. Having a little vial of something that can do so many things is a lot of fun.
And you have to combine Tony's, his GPS, the device he makes, because that's what allows them to control where they're going. Because otherwise,
and when we're talking about Avengers Endgame now,
in Endgame, the Pym particles shrinking down small enough to go in the quantum realm. His device is what allows them to decide where they're going. Because they enter it into their watch or the thing on the back of their hand, and then they hit it, and that's what makes them go.
Right. So it's a combo. It's a combo deal. That one.
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly about the Hot Tub Time Machine. What are the controls on that? I don't remember how they control that.
I think it's Chevy Chase does it. Like something breaks and like a radio falls in. Yeah, Chevy Chase is like the weird. He's like the You know how sometimes there's someone like who's like, well, I guess you needed to learn a lesson. That's his role in Hot Tub Time Machine. He's the fix-it guy for the resort.
That's right.
Yeah.
I like that one. It's fun. I don't think that's our winner.
No.
I feel like right now the game we need to play just to get to the meat of this is we can go through some of these, and are they going to beat the DeLorean, the TARDIS, or the phone booth?
Okay.
Those are the three I would put up to the end. But let's see if any of these can kick those off of the mountain.
All right.
So I don't think the Hot Tub Time Machine can do it. Do you think the Pym Particle can do it?
I don't know. It's pretty exciting.
It is pretty cool. It's the Pym Particle combined with the Tony Stark.
Yeah. And you fly.
Tech.
You fly through time.
But the thing is,
conduits. You're like,
yeah, but I want to look at a cool thing. Remember, we got to have the coolness factor. And the little wrist thing is cool. It's not as cool as the two phone booths in the car.
You think a nice watch is not as cool as a phone booth?
Yeah, no, man.
Well, there goes that episode idea. Phone booth or watch.
Phone booth or watch. Yeah, guess
Damn
what?
it.
We're done with that one. What else do we have? I'm looking at my list now.
Slingshotting your starship. Now here's what's
you
cool.
really want to keep that one in there, don't you?
Well, we need to talk about it because it's a cool Federation starship. So you got, or in this case, it was a Klingon bird of prey, but you could do it. You could really do it with any ship I think you do warp 10 around the sun. I think that's the way you do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I didn't think of the warp 10 part of it, but here's the cool part is while you're traveling through time, you get to see a bunch of ceramic busts of whoever's on the ship just sort of appearing. So you get to see like, oh, if they were doing like a death mask for me, here's what it would look like. There's marks.
By the way, have you seen the death mask collection at Alamo Drafthouse? Did you ever see that in New York when we were there?
No.
They have a bizarrely large collection of death masks from every celebrity that you can imagine got one when they were fashionable. Anyway, if you're in New York, go check that out. It's very strange. They have like Moliere and Lincoln and they go back to like the 17th century. It's wild.
I think the only one I've ever seen was Frank Nitty's death mask, which was at the FBI headquarters.
Who's Frank Nitti?
He was like Al Capone's like enforcer kind of hitman guy.
Gotcha. Yeah. Anyway, enough about death masks, which are in a way a bit of a sort of time travel.
So is a book. What about a bookmark? A book can take you anywhere.
Oh my gosh. If we pick book as the best version of time travel.
What about that hat store from Reading Rainbow? He goes back to the medieval times, but he thinks he does it. It's like a red bear. He's just traveling to different places in our time. He's like, doesn't this take me anywhere other than like a model train museum?
This one goes to Dragon Con. This one goes to Emerald City Comic Con. This one oh, I see what's happening. Now I understand. I get it. All right. Well, let's talk about the big three then. How's that?
Sure.
The DeLorean, the TARDIS, and the phone booth.
So you're getting rid of the time turner, huh?
Oh, we didn't talk about the time turner. This comes down to limitations for me because the time turner can only go back like a very brief amount unless you're standing there spinning it all day.
Get bent.
Yeah. It's still a cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
It's a cool
neat
piece of jewelry
for the book. It just explains how she was able to take a bunch of classes at once. Like she's to take classes. She's not going back to like, take care of baby Hitler or something. Like you have a time machine and the thing you're going to do is take more classes. Come on, Hermione. For someone who's very concerned with the greater good.
But look how many times she would have to turn it all day to get her back to
Mark.
If she's going to go kill the baby Hitler, how many times is she going to have to spin that thing before she gets to Austria in the 1890s?
It's so easy. I can't believe I have to explain this to you.
Okay.
You go to Austria, then you put the time turner on a pinwheel and you spin it. You just keep spinning it like you're heading to the showcase showdown.
Yeah. Pinwheel spinning around. Look in this crib and see the Hitler I found. All right.
I mean, the DeLorean would be good because you just run the baby over. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
All right,
go ahead.
Let's talk about, let's talk about these three, looking at the different criteria. And let's start with the DeLorean. I say complicatedness. It's a little complicated. It's got the flux capacitor, but it's like there are a few different bells and whistles within it, but it's a car. You hit 88 miles an hour. You go to where you want to go. As long as you can get the car to 88, it can travel to where you want it to travel to.
The big issue with the first DeLorean, the one that we see in the initial Back to the Future, except at the end, is that you need plutonium to make it run.
Yeah.
However, if you're going to take if you're going to take the premier version of that car, you take the one from the end of Back to the Future and from Back to the Future 2.
Right. Mr. Fusion.
And it has Mr. Fusion. So you just put garbage in it and it can fly.
I mean, it's a pretty perfect time machine. As time machines go, it can fly. It's got all the coolness points in the world. Environmentally, not as bad as the first version that uses plutonium.
Yeah.
I would say more practical than the train version from part 3.
Sure. Even the one he does at the very end that can fly.
Oh yeah. When Jules and Verne. The Transformer is pretty cool.
But it's also a whole train. That's just too much.
Yeah, it's a whole train. The DeLorean is gonna be tough to beat. It's cool. It's got gull wings. It's made the DeLorean cool. It's stainless steel. The whole Mr. Fusion, the flux capacitor, the digital screen that tells you where you're coming from, where you are, and where you're going.
What about if it runs out of fuel, you get caught in 1885, or if you show up and a group of indigenous people are attacking your car because they don't know what it is and you're encroaching on their land. So why wouldn't they? And they shoot your fuel line, then you're stuck again. And you gotta you gotta basically run your car over with a train to get where you're going.
I guess
that is a major problem. If you ran out of fuel.
If you run out of fuel, getting up to 88 miles an hour, and even getting up to 88 miles an hour with fuel is not necessarily easy in this situation. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because you're very conspicuous, or you might not have paved roads. You don't in the Old West. Yeah, fuel is a thing. Huh.
Something to consider. So we've talked about coolness, ease of use, functionality. It travels through time. That's what it does. It does one thing and it does it very well. Also, it's a car. Sure. Can get you around.
Yeah, it can get you around.
If you have enough fuel.
Yeah, but don't waste that fuel because you don't know when you're going to wind up, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Unless you bring stuff with you. You really want to carry around a bunch of gas cans with you?
No, I don't want to drive around with gas cans like those people that went and bought all the gasoline and just filled it up in trash bags and threw it in the back of their trucks.
Here's the other thing, and again, this is a time travel movie. If you can, Mr. Fusion can power the flux capacitor. Why can't it just power the rest of the car? Why is there still a need for gasoline?
Yeah.
In the 21st century?
You know what? I don't know, Hal.
There's no answer.
Why didn't Marty McFly's parents realize that he looked exactly like the one most important person during the formative years of high school that got them together?
Because they're stupid.
Well, now I feel mean for asking the question. Is that what it is? His
parents are probably idiot too. His parents are probably idiots too. If you ever have a child like that, I'll disown you. Yeah. They're dumb.
Jeez. All right. So let's talk about the TARDIS.
Sure.
Not as cool to look at because it's nice. Just a blue phone booth. Sure. Call box.
Still cool looking device. The best part is it's huge inside.
That's the thing where I think its functionality beats the other two, hands down. Yeah, it does a lot more than just travel through time. Talk about some of the things that, cause you're more of a Whovian than I am. Talk about some of the things that a TARDIS can do.
It can travel all over the place. Travels through time, space and time. And it's the method of travel for a Time Lord. So you can go, you can hang out there. You're in comfort. You get where you need to go. You do your thing and then you move on.
I think the giant space inside with the room for all of the instrumentation that you need is an important part of it.
And hey, if you like Doctor Who, it's like a museum up there. All the wardrobes are there.
Yeah.
When they take their new form, they keep the old outfit. They just get hung up.
There's a scarf room, I assume.
Scarves, ties, bow ties, sneakers, pants, trench coats, everything.
So many trench coats. Hats. So many trench coats.
Tons of hats. You wouldn't believe the hats. But, that's the thing is in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, that's a very easy device to use. Mm-hmm. You put in the date, you press you press what would be the pound and asterisk buttons, and then you travel, and then you're there wherever you're going. You can put in the exact date, you know where you're going, no problem. The trouble is, Bill and Ted, for their history report, are just bringing back all these historical figures. It gets to a point very quickly where it's very uncomfortable to travel.
Yeah.
Because
you can travel in a TARDIS. You can travel. They could have all fit easily in a TARDIS and probably more, you know?
Yes.
They could have brought Plato and Aristotle as well as Socrates.
That's right. They could have brought the princesses with them. They wouldn't have had to leave them and go back and get them.
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, I think that if we're comparing phone booths now, the ease of use of the Bill and Ted phone booth is, I don't know, offset by the size limitations of that phone booth.
Right.
The TARDIS, its vast interior and seemingly endless capabilities are offset by the fact that it's pretty difficult to use the TARDIS.
Right.
Do we want to look at this from if you and I encountered said time machine, would we be able to use it and do it effectively?
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Is like two of them we could pilot. We know how to use it.
But a TARDIS we don't. So one of its limitations is you have to have a doctor who can control the thing. A Time Lord, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like as a device.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, Ken saying not necessarily. Ken, do you just want to come on mic and give a quick drop in here on this?
No. Let's keep going. This is gonna, that's gonna extend the episode by an hour and a half.
It will not. If you want to give like 30 seconds on, why somebody else can pilot it. Go ahead, Ken.
Okay. The Time Lord and the Companion can pilot the TARDIS, but if you have a TARDIS, if you and I, Hal, want to travel through time and we have a TARDIS, we also need a Time Lord or a Companion in order to pilot the thing for us.
Right. Or we have to be a Time Lord or a Companion.
Right. Which, I mean, I don't know about you, but I already have my degree. I can't go back to school and like get a Time Lordship.
Yeah. I have a mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
I'm paying that down, you know. Yeah, I mean, the other thing with the TARDIS is it gets to pick who travels it, like who can operate it, right? Like the device has a say. The other devices have no say.
Yeah.
They move at your discretion.
I want you and I to be able to go in this thing and control it and not have it spit us out.
Well, then the TARDIS is out.
Yeah. Man, that's tough. I thought the TARDIS would, I didn't think about the pilot, the necessity of a pilot for a TARDIS. So now it comes down to Bill and Ted's phone booth or the DMC DeLorean. I guess it's not a DMC DeLorean. That's like saying PIN number.
That's true.
The DeLorean
DMC stands for. Yeah, it's the DeLorean Motor Company. Correct.
Yeah.
Jeez. I'm attached more to the DeLorean, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think, and really both of them break. It's like a problem each time, but they're able to fix the phone booth with chewing gum.
Yeah.
Just put the pieces on. So it's much easier to fix. Like, you don't have to deal. And by the way, DeLorean's notoriously bad cars. Look cool.
Sure.
Bad car.
Yeah.
So
I don't know the quality of the phone inside the booth, but if it's Bell, it's probably good.
I think it was Pacific Bell, wasn't it?
Well, there you go. But now think about this. They only were able to fix that because they had gum on them. If they didn't have gum on them, gum as we know it was invented in the early 20th century by Wrigley. Before that, people were using chicle.
Yeah.
So, arguably that is newer technology than the fuel for the DeLorean.
Yes, but glue has existed for a long time.
That's true. Tree sap has existed. Yeah.
There are a lot of things you use to stick it. It's just
a mechanical repair.
Yeah. It's funnier that they were using like bubble tape or whatever gum they had around for that. And you can fit a few more people in it. Like the DeLorean, you see when they have 3 people in there, they're pushing it. They're pushing it real hard. Like Jennifer's going lapsies on Marty, but like it's not a comfortable lapsies where everybody's thrilled with it.
It's tough because I think the better, objectively cooler, better time machine apparatus is the DeLorean.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm ever stuck, I feel like I could get out of a sticky spot with the phone booth from the Bill and Ted movies. I mean, they're in caveman times when they get the gum and put it back together. There are no resources around for them and they're still able to get back home. To me, paramount in time travel is my ability to get back home.
Well, here's something else too. What else do you need to time travel?
George Carlin?
No, with the DeLorean.
Oh, with the DeLorean?
You need fuel. You need to punch everything in. What else do you have to do?
You have to hit 88 miles per hour.
And what does that mean you need?
Gasoline.
A runway. You need space.
Yeah, you need space.
When you use the phone booth, you just drop through a time hole in the floor.
Yeah.
And when you land, you come through it. You're taking up only the space that a phone booth occupies.
Yeah.
And I think that is, so you can fix it with, it's a lot easier to carry around a couple packs of gum than it is a roadside assistance kit.
Yeah.
And fuel and garbage.
Yeah. To run on Mr. Fusion.
Yeah.
You don't have to carry garbage. I'm pretty sure throughout history and civilization, it's been pretty easy to find garbage if you want to.
I don't know. I mean, I will. Yeah. Usually a lot of times it's just out in the street and in people's homes. I think it's the phone booth, Mark.
I can't believe I was so certain it was going to be the DeLorean, but I think it's the phone booth. I just said the phone booth. I think it's the phone booth because you can always get home.
Did you say booth because you were thinking of the other seminal 1980s Michael J. Fox movie, Teen Wolf? Where the girlie ends up with his booth?
No, I was actually thinking of it because I was thinking about Lincoln from before. We were talking about him and he was killed by John Wilkes Booth.
People of the world. If you're going to travel back in time, you need something accurate. You need something simple. You need something you can repair. You need something that doesn't require either you to take off and clear some trees or have enough space on the road to hit 88 miles per hour. And that's why you have to forego the very cool looking car and get in the phone booth that Rufus brought to you. And hey, if you need to hook onto it, you can use a guitar as a grappling hook. He does that in the sequel. When Chuck Nostromo, the gym teacher, travels back in time.
Oh.
He hooks onto it. And then he's Pam Grier. He disguises himself as Pam Grier. Think of all the things that are waiting for you in the future. The only way you're going to find that is by getting in the phone booth, entering the coordinates, pressing those two buttons, and then boom, you're going to go through like a wormhole. You get to see that. That's kind of cool. You got some
those
cool
tubes,
stuff to look at.
Space tubes.
Space tube.
Time tube.
And then time tubes. And then you land and there you are. And you're only taking up the space of a phone booth. So there you go. That's the best time travel device. Surprise, asked and answered.
Wow, this took a turn.
Yeah.
Who knew? Well, you know what? This topic is closed. Thanks to Chris Rooney for the topic. There are many more topics to discuss, so please reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets or
email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com or go to our Facebook group and talk about your favorite time travel devices. Any ones that we missed, you are free to discuss, but we've already decided which one the best one is. Facebook.com/group/WeGotThisPodcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, whom you can support at Patreon.com/Ken Plume. Also, thank you to researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kilman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world, for giving us an opportunity and a reason to sit down and talk about something as important and relevant and real, despite what Hal says, as time travel. So to you, I say, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin, and don't worry, everybody. We got this.
We got this.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows
supported
directly by you.